everybody, it's Chad with Nobody Else's Auto. Bringing you a special live today. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your afternoon to hang out with us. Well, here we are, we're out of Dad's place where he had all these Buicks for years and years and years and years and years. Well, today, the last two come out. And this is the last one we're gonna load right here. Why? Because it was one of the very first ones that came in here. This building behind me, my dad and my grandpa bought in 1978. This was formerly a Chrysler dealer and a Phillips 66 station. Believe it or not, this old building here back in the 40s and 50s was literally a Chrysler Plymouth dealer and a Phillips 66 station. Unfortunately in 78 when they had the auction, they sold all the cool stuff at that time too. So all the signage and everything like that was all gone. But they did buy this building in 78 to mess with their old cars. In about 1977, 78, 79, somewhere right in there, my dad bought a 1948 Buick Roadmaster. And at the time, as he was just getting into Buicks, not realizing it, he bought this car here right behind us. This is a 1948 Buick, however, it's a special. So most of the stuff isn't the same as a Super or Roadmaster bigger body car. However, at the time, it was still a complete car with a lot of good parts on it. He had some guys who were obviously working on 48 Buicks because he was working on a 48 Buick that, you know, had specials and needed parts. So he started selling parts off of this car because he didn't need them because they wouldn't fit his Roadmaster. So that's kind of how this whole thing started. It's kind of how I ended up where I'm at today. This car was brought out here, we're thinking right around 1980 is when this car was sat here. Was when he kind of started selling some parts off of it, needed a place to store it. They had this building, although it was 20 miles from home. They had this building. We had family that lived out here at the time, and so they started putting cars out here. And it started just with a short row right along this building here of 6 or 8 cars of old Buicks. That he found some other Buicks that were similar that somebody needed parts off of, and found another Buick that was similar that somebody needed parts off of. And that's literally how it started, right here with a row of Buicks next to this building, with this being one of the very first cars that ever came in here. And then it obviously snowballed into, if you caught our videos from the end of the year where we cleaned out Dad's other lot that we spent half of last year working on. We had almost 100 cars that we moved out of there that he had not sold off over the years. And then we've been bringing you a lot of footage of a lot of Buicks that all came out of this lot where we're at right here, right now. So, you know, we can obviously see around me here, all this was all Buicks. If we look off that way, that was all Buicks. We've got that 156 down there to load yet. Today, we're gonna get it sucked on here in just a minute. And then once we get the 56 loaded, we're gonna get this 48 and get it sucked on the trailer and take it in and move it to my place. So all these cars, we're still gonna have them. You know, none of the stuff is going to the crusher. We're gonna still line it up, even though this car's been parted out for 40 years and there's not a lot left on it. There's still pieces there, and obviously it's been sitting here for 40 years, so it hasn't been out on the road. It hasn't had grime and stuff on it, so it's really solid. There's a lot of pieces there that somebody still may need. When they're flat, they're pretty much worthless. So, you know, we don't want to throw them away, so we've been moving them all. And like I said, this is the last one. It's kind of bittersweet. You know, I grew up out here. I was born in 74. They bought this building in 78. So I literally don't really have any recollection of not having this building and not having these cars out here. You know, I was too young to even ever remember not having cars out here. So the entire time I grew up, we were out here every weekend working on cars, selling parts, pulling parts off these old Buicks. We'd have to mow these lots and take care of stuff and maintain it. So, I mean, literally I grew up right here doing this, and that's how I got more and more and more into it to where we are today with probably around 1,200 cars on the ground. So, you know, continuing to grow, continuing to build. However, you know, some of these other loose ends have to be tied up, and Dad's, you know, he's ready to retire. He doesn't have the desire to try to maintain the property and keep things mowed and take care of all this stuff. And he's got buildings and buildings of parts that are already off to sell over the next several years. So keeping the cars around just didn't make sense for him anymore. For him to maintain a dealer's license and maintain everything that goes along with it just didn't make any sense with my facility not that far away. So this is it. We're getting the last ones moved today. And we got some more Buicks we've been hauling in. We haven't even had time to bring you yet, but we're definitely going to get some more of that stuff out to you. And we'll show you this 48 real quick. Like I said, there's not a lot left. It's got a 50 Super hood on it, obviously. that was from a different car that just got sat on top of it. It does still have the old straight 8 in it. You know, this fender's gone. That sold the quarter panel and rear fender off of this side. But when you take a look at it, it's still got some pieces inside of it. And obviously somebody must have had a car that got rear-ended or was really rusty that sold this chunk out of the car at some point. So, like I said, not a ton left, but absolutely no way that we could get rid of it or crush it. It's just been around too long. Wouldn't hardly know what to do if we didn't have it around. So, like I said, it's kind of an interesting day. Bittersweet day, I guess. You know, we're going to have everything moved finally, which has been a huge chore in and of itself. Getting all these cars out of here and all the cars out of the other lot and getting them moved to my place. But, you know, it had to be done. It needed to be done. And at least, you know, this will end the bulk of it. It's just going to be pretty weird that after basically I'm 45 now, and for 40 years of my 45 there has been a row of Buicks right here along this building. I've never known any different. So kind of interesting. It's good, but it's bad, and it's going to be different for sure. But we'll get them to my place. I've been rearranging some stuff. We'll get all these Buicks put back in a similar area so we can keep track of them and what we've got, which is going to be the next project, which is going to be a huge project too, because we've just been dropping stuff in holes wherever we can find holes to get it done. But that's part of it. We got plenty of time to keep sorting and reorganizing as we go forward now that we'll have the cars moved. So kind of an interesting day, kind of a special day, but definitely bittersweet. There's no way to not to sugarcoat that. It's a bittersweet day that we're getting it done, but it's going to be different out here. If we look, you know, we can see the spots where the cars had sat for years, because a lot of these cars had sat in here for years. Where there's the blank areas of grass where that's because there was a Buick that sat there for 30 or 40 years. And fortunately the project's about done, and now it's just time to sort and organize. But that's why we wanted to bring you kind of a different special video today. Thought we'd throw it up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, it is a little different than what we normally do, but it's kind of a special day, so we thought we'd share it with you, because it's the next step into the future. So do we have any comments or anything we need to address? Or
there was a hello from Minnesota.
Hey, thanks Minnesota.
Why moving the car? Is your dad moving?
No, he's just basically, you know, he had a couple hundred cars here. You can't just have a couple hundred cars sitting around. You know, obviously in the state of Kansas and in most states, to have that amount of cars sitting around, you've got to have a salvage license and or dealer's license, or both, like I've got. I have salvage and used vehicle dealer. So for him to keep all this stuff here, he had to maintain a dealer's license, and then I have my dealer's license also. So it was pretty much redundant, and like I said, he's winding down and slowing down and doesn't want to have to maintain these big lots full of cars. So that way he doesn't have to maintain his dealer's license. We've got mine to work with, but we have to take the cars there also. So you can't just leave all the cars sit.
Does the wind always blow?
Wind blows here all the time. But obviously we didn't have much choice today. We're moving the cars today, so we had to bring you what we could while we could.
Danny Gates is selling his junkyard in UP, Michigan.
That's a long ways away from here.
Jaden, I think Boogie Bailey, somebody needs to make a ute out of this.
Well, that could be a possibility.
And
that would make kind of an interesting ute, that's for sure.
Yeah. And that's all the questions.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, as always, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to hang out with me. What is today? Is today Wednesday? Yeah, today's Wednesday. So we'll have another new video tonight. I think we'll probably just bring you some more Buicks tonight and wrap up with Buicks, and then we'll bring you Pioneer Village Friday night. So I think we got another batch of Buicks that we can get shot for you today. So stay tuned for that. As always, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day to hang out with us. I hope you enjoyed it. It's kind of a cool story. You know, it's part of my history. It's part of how I got to where I'm at. I had a video I did a few months ago out here at the same spot right before we started the final push to clean these up. And I think we shot that right about here. And if you go back and catch that video, you can see that in this entire area I was surrounded by Buicks when we shot that video. And that's it, they're gone. So this is it. If you missed that video, you might want to go back and check that out. It kind of wraps up this chapter, I guess, of my life and how I got to do what I do right now full time, which is mess with old cars. How my dad started, and his dad, my grandpa, was out here when they worked on their cars, and it kind of brings it all full circle till today and into the next chapter, I guess is the best way to put it. So thanks for being here, everybody. I hope it was interesting to you. I hope I didn't bore anybody to death with my stories, but it's how I got where I'm at, so thought we'd bring it to you. Thanks for watching. Got any questions after the fact, just give me a call, 620-786-4428. You can always give me a shout on that number if you've got specific questions about cars and parts. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Stay tuned. New video on the Nobody Show page coming up tonight. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you soon.